Hey everyone, and welcome back to Success to Significance. It's Jen, and today I have with me Michele Malo, who is a dear friend of mine. Actually, we met on marketers. What? No. I always
Ah,
do this, and I know exactly where we met. We met at the retreat. We met at a retreat like 4 years ago, and just been kind of tethered to one another, for the last several years. And I finally said, Michele, you got to get on the show. And so now here we are, and I'm so excited and delighted to have you here with us today, Michele. Thanks for joining us.
oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. We got it to come together.
Yes, I know. Only why the third time's a charm, right?
That's
And
right.
yeah, so let me tell you a little bit, Michele, about Michele. She's the Change CEO, and we'll talk about what that means. She delivers an appetite for sanity to entrepreneurs and corporate go-getters needing to make a change in their lives and their business. As a coach, she creates strategies in personal branding, marketing, career, and business for her clients. And as a speaker, she motivates audiences all over the world. And as an author, she empowers others to confidently live a life without regrets. She does this through her success menu programs, which I love the name of. I told you that before, which opens people's mindset with the idea if the rug gets pulled out from under you, just buy a new rug. So with that, Michele, and so she owns Michele Malo Consulting. So you can find her information online, and we'll be talking about how you can get in contact with Michele. I think one of the biggest things that you do, and I know you do a multitude of things. It's funny when I talk to you, you're working with clients on branding, and then you're working with another client on retail, right? Retail and sort of branding. So give us a synopsis of your history, because I know you come from corporate America and really some cool things. So give us a synopsis of your history before you got into this.
Sure, absolutely. I spent a good 20 years of my life in Fortune 500 food companies. So worked for Kraft and Kellogg's, Barilla. I did international branding and business with Cholet Packaging, which for anyone who knows the wine in the box, I was opening Asia Pacific for them. So I just have really been able to work and rebrand a lot of the old iconic things that you see every day. So Oscar Mayer hot dogs, bacon, maybe the stuff that's not as good for you as it should be. But again, a lot of those big brands that you see every day. One of the funnest projects I ever worked on was being head of marketing for Barilla Food Service, so the pasta company out of Italy, and just being able to create their entire infrastructure because they were going to market retail, so in grocery stores and anything you see on shelf. But what they were really trying to break into was food service and to understand the restaurateurs and college universities and healthcare, which is a completely different segmentation and different market needs. And so it's B2B, but it's also B2C. So just really taking a look at when it comes down to marketing in general is finding out what the need is and making sure we're meeting that and that our products are there so it solves a problem.
So now that's the red and blue box, right? Because I know everybody's trying to think of the name right now.
It
So
is. It's the red. So it's the oval with
yeah,
the white with the red and
yeah,
the essence of Italy. Because those romantic commercials on television where they're
right,
cooked together and all of that, and which is a beautiful marketing message. It's a romanticism of what's Mediterranean cuisine, which
yeah,
is a beautiful messaging. But when you're trying to feed, as an example, at UMass, 500,000 students, they don't really care about the essence. They want to know how it holds up in a steam table and the
right.
cost per serving. And so it's a definitely different way of uh, showing those folks that are in charge of those programs how we can make their lives easier by utilizing a product that's going to hold up but also be within a cost structure that makes sense for their P&Ls and for their
Yeah,
businesses
I
and their
think that's
students.
great. And I know you're working with a friend of ours. We'll keep her unnamed, but yeah, I'm excited you're working with her to get her, product out in the marketplace. I think that's exciting. So let's talk about change and transition. So you obviously had to make a change and a transition out of corporate America. So tell us what happened there. What was the purpose behind that, or the premise behind, I'm done with this. I got to move on. Was it a pull? Was it a push? What happened?
Oh, I think any change people will know is a pull and a push all at the same time. But it's a little bit of a different story. I don't believe in fear. Sometimes you have to follow the calling and just do what you need to do. And
Mhm.
I was over 310 pounds. So I was one of the sickest 28-year-olds. And I wish I could say I was still 28, but at the time. And I knew that if I didn't make a change, bad things were going to happen. In fact, I had to call in sick to work, or like I said, I had to call in fat to work because
Mhm.
I literally threw my back out getting out of bed.
Yeah.
When you have to call your boss, when you have a high powered meeting in the morning and you literally have gotten to yourself with stress and with not taking care of yourself, there's a moment where you go, wow, what do we do here? So needless to say, fast forward 10 years, I lost the weight, and the struggle is real. So I do help people with that, 'cause that's a mindset thing that affects everything. If you're not healthy, everything else, nothing else matters.
Right.
So I love corporate America, honestly, to be a personal trainer and,
Huh.
and to do nutrition
Right.
because I
Because
knew
you had you had the food piece of it as well. I mean, that's why how you got to 300, right? You were trying to all the food, but
it was all the food.
you also had some knowledge about it, that you could apply.
That's it. And also the understanding. So I worked with a lot of my corporate peers because we would, especially as women, and I know my circle is driven. So we are doing everything. We're on airplanes, we're working weekends, nights, grabbing things on the go that maybe
Yeah.
aren't the right choices, or we're not eating,
Mhm.
or you're going to these social hours where you're networking and there's wine and just all the stuff. So I saw myself, even though on the outside and from a professional, I was very successful.
Mhm.
But from a personal and from a health perspective, I was a hot mess.
Yeah.
So the fact that, and I don't ever claim to said I had figured it out, but I had figured out methods to get myself to a fact that I could be more effective, not only in my job, but also just in all my relationships and just my relationship with myself.
Yeah.
So that's how
Yeah.
that transitioned.
Yeah, yeah, and I know that that also changed in your relationship too. So let's talk about that. Since we're talking about weight, let's talk about your book.
Yes. So
Right?
that is almost
Part
done.
of
And
the transition, right?
it's called How to Lose 185 Pounds in One Day. And
Right.
the punchline is called A Divorce.
Right.
But that is about transition to understand what's not serving you anymore. And really what you're shedding is maybe it's one bad relationship, but it's really all the different things that are weighing you down.
Yeah.
So it's coming face to face and to be honest with yourself of this just isn't working. The facade is great, but the facade is only so deep.
Yeah.
And the wounds I was dealing with were a lot deeper because it was a very, we'll just call it a not a great place to be. And I should have left 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
And that's why when I call the change CEO, when I talked about weight, when I talk about career, it's also about relationships and what's taking away your energy and your spark and your light.
Right. Well,
And
and like you said, making a change in people's lives and businesses, both. And that's, I think that's really powerful. So talk about career changes, because I know one of the things that you do, and I kind of harp on this, sorry, everybody who's listening, harp on this quite a bit on this podcast, success to significance, right? It's everything in between. It's not you were successful, now you're significant, maybe you are, but it's everything in between. It's breaking through these glass ceilings that we have in our lives in multitudes. And you've already broken through several ceilings, but as people are thinking about transitioning right now, because this podcast, started right as COVID started, right? And it wasn't planned that way, of course, but
right.
it started right when COVID started. And so I find that a lot of people are, looking at that transition, not wanting to go back to the regular job, looking at being an entrepreneur and making those transitions. And but where do we go from here? And really, this is the premise of what I started this podcast about. Was I was successful and that was my identity. Now I want to be significant in the world. For me, it was a direct, I was this and now I'm that. Now,
Mhm.
what do I do after I've broken through all these glass ceilings? What's out there for me? How do I find what's out there for me? So I know one of the things that you do that is so brilliant is look at everyone's skills and how do you apply those skills to a multitude of different venues, career, we'll just say career paths or industries,
Sure.
which I think is amazing, because I think we all get stuck in, well, we're in the frame. We can't see the picture, right? We're like, okay, this is my picture. And, I was a architect, I was a, computer guy or a gal. And now all I think of is the only thing I can do is that. And if I'm an entrepreneur, that's all I can do.
Right.
So walk us through what you do, because I think it's pretty incredible what you do in career transitions. And I know it's not just from job as salaried to entrepreneurship. I know it's just everything.
Yeah, it's everything. Because to your point, COVID threw everything on its head. Uh, and it's the idea that you're not stuck in, like, I love that analogy about you can't see the picture when you're in the frame, because you're really good at one thing. I was a marketer. I have a double MBA in it, right? So it makes sense. In corporate, there's this ladder, there's this path, this is what you do. But then COVID said, for a lot of folks, nope, I'm taking your ladder. Like you said earlier, the rug gets pulled. We're taking the ladder, we're going to pull the rug, and all of a sudden you're on your tuchus, like sitting there dumbfounded going, now what?
Mm-hmm.
And the worst place to be is sitting there dumbfounded with the now what alone.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do is I get down and dirty with you to figure out what really is your passions and what are your skills. Because even though you're a marketer or you're a mortgage lender or whatever it is you do, you have transferable skills that we can reposition to do anything you want to do. This is your chance. This is God's way of saying, you know what, I'm giving you this time out to really go part two, and what are we going to make with that? And I go shopping with you. I go buy that new rug with you. We go through and make sure that you understand the rock star that you are. No matter what we're doing, I have everyone start with the resume.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need a resume. I said, I understand that. But what I want you to do is the last time you dusted that off, which could be for some people 5, 10, 15 years. And I want you to go through all your accomplishments, because we never take time to go, wow, I did this, I did that. And I reposition it so that you have this beautiful story of your accomplishments, who you are, so you feel that inner rock star. So that if you do decide, I don't want to do this career, it's now time to start that business, you understand and have that empowerment to know you can do it. And now I'm just in the background helping you do the business part of it and walk you through like business planning and all those things. So we can either go to market, launch your service, personal brand you, whatever it is that you need to do.
Yeah, and I think I think that's really powerful too, because I mean, even for me, I was in mortgages and I coach loan officers, but I can coach anybody. It's all transferable. I do. I mean, I choose not to coach anybody else. I coach only loan officers, but it's all transferable. And I have coached people in the past, just don't prefer to do it.
Sure.
But I think that there are so many people that pigeonhole themselves and stereotype themselves into into that, because they placate on the experiences they had in the industry as opposed to the experiences that they had. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense.
Yeah. How do we get
It's,
out of that? How do we get out of that self-talk that's saying, well, I was this. It's almost like it's like being a noun versus being an adjective.
yeah, it's getting past the I was or I am,
Mm-hmm.
because now all you're doing is giving yourself a title,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
So or you decide you're going to do something. As an example, when we went back to, like, I was a personal trainer and I had a very successful wellness business. But guess what I figured out as doing that for a good 5, 6 years? I created myself a job.
Yeah.
A job. Now all of a sudden I'm working 7:30 to 8:30. It's a job. And then it became no fun anymore.
Yeah.
So, and what I loved what you said earlier is you said that, but I don't want to coach anymore. And that's the whole point of all this. I want to let you know, you don't have to do anything.
Right.
You can reinvent everything. I mean, and some of it comes full circle, because 2 of the clients I have right now are in the food service arena. So I'm utilizing my old contacts to help get them to market, to help get them, as I do agent work too, I'm a connector, I collect people, I love people, and who can help who. So I'm helping a client do that so he can break in his new bakery business. So it's just so interesting. So it's not about forgetting what you did and what you were, because it's what you are, and taking all those things and just repackaging it into something that you love to do, but also more importantly, you still got to pay the bills. So how you're monetizing around that idea. And a lot of people don't know the how. So that's what I'm for. You're just to define the what. Does that
Yeah.
make
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, I know it is. It was funny. I was talking to my husband about this because, he's been in lending for 30 years now. And he's like, yeah, but I don't know what I'm going to do. He used to be in cars, as you know,
right?
like everything cars, automotive industry, the whole thing, and then left that because he didn't want to be on his back, so to speak, all, the rest of his life wrenching a car, wrenching, doing mechanical work. But he did other things too. He sold tires and all kinds of stuff. But um, he said, but I can't make money with my passion.
Right.
Right. And he's like, how do I make money with my passion? That's the thing. And I think a lot of people that are stuck in transition
Mhm.
are really where I was too, which was, but then what do we do?
That's right.
What do we do? And you said, well, you're the how, but we have to come up with the what. But how do we come up with the what? I mean, I'm clear on it now, but how do you come up with the what? When you look back at your experience, and maybe your experiences are great, but they can only be applied, to a specific industry. What if they can't be moved over? I mean, I think they're all transferable, but my son-in-law, as I told you about, he, he's been a government contractor and he's over it.
Right.
But everything in his resume is about negotiating for government contracting, things. So maybe he's just a good negotiator and needs to go do something else.
Well, and negotiation is one of the biggest transferable skills that you can have. And I'm going to be completely honest, what's the hardest part?
Yeah.
And when you try to figure it out yourself, it's hard.
Mhm.
And also I very much warn against, there's a lot of people who claim they can help you with the what, as long as you open up your checkbook and your credit cards.
Mhm.
So be careful of the emotional knee jerk
Yeah.
and really methodically. I almost call it like your life assessment. What do you want your life to look like? Life by design.
Mhm.
If you could look at your life next week, and what would you be doing? Is it travel? Is it
Mhm.
sports? Is it mechanical? What is it because at that point, we can do a deeper dive to figure out what that what is. Then we look at all the skills and all the accomplishments. And then we pretty much do kind of that magic, the meld, right?
Right. Yeah. The
Yeah.
how.
And
Yeah.
where is that sweet spot in the middle? And it's going to change. You're going to come up with that's it. Then
Yeah.
as you start to work it, you're going to realize that's it, but that's it plus. So you're constantly going to be tinkering and maneuvering, especially in the marketplace as that changes. And as this world we're spinning on right now is spinning a little out of control, it's just a matter of keeping your balance and your grounding. And that's where your people that you're surrounded with, your connectivity, and knowing that you have that empowerment and the power within you, and just make sure you have at least one or two true confidence that could take you off the ledge.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can also walk it through. I can
Yeah.
walk it through with you.
So, I know a lot of people are probably thinking, okay, I could change careers, but wouldn't that mean a dramatic reduction in my pay?
Not necessarily. It depends on what it is you want to do. Because again, we go back to that life
Mhm.
assessment. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's why it's so important to, even before any change, because again, a lot of coaches will say, just do it. It's, blah, blah, blah. Talk
Leap.
to a client. Yeah, leap. And I'm all for, but research before you leap. Make an exit strategy, talk with financial planners, be smart about it. I'm all about passion and love, and we want to get you there. I want to talk to you about it, but then that prepares you to ask the right questions to make sure that financially, if you do have to take a hot minute to get comfortable and get your footing, you're okay with it. Because when you're stressing and you're chasing the dollars are going to run away from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No
it's
question.
energy. Money is energy. So let's make sure the energy is positive.
Yeah, no question. Okay, so thank you for sharing all that. I appreciate it. So
Sure.
let's talk just a little bit about business startups because, once people make this transition, into a new job or into a new entrepreneurship, you also work with startups,
Mhm.
and you help them. So for those that are listening here, what exactly is it that you do for startups? And why would someone want to hire you if they're just starting?
Well,
right?
no, honestly, because you don't want to go about it alone. Now,
Mhm,
I've started, even though I was in corporate, I recreated infrastructures within the bigger structure
mhm,
for, 10, 25 years, right? Started my own business for 10 years. But what you don't know, what you don't know.
mhm.
So the biggest thing, folks will jump in and just, I got to build a website. I need to do marketing. Like for some, everyone goes there
Yeah,
first
yeah.
before they do the research, before they build goals, a business plan. What is the number that this business has to generate in order for it to be viable for you to live?
Mhm,
So I help you go through the business plan. I help you talk through the concept so that when you do go to market, you have proof of concept that you can do a sales pitch. And I'm also a speaker. So I'm able to help you mold what it is you're going to be talking to, and exactly how to address pain points, because the people will open their wallets if you have a solution to their problem. So
mhm.
what is it? And I'm going to be the first one to be super honest with you if I say I don't think it has legs, or we can do a little bit of research, but we've got to put a little bit more behind it. And also understand there's going to be an investment, especially if you're looking to get a product into retail, or you're trying to make some noise in a different industry. You got to do
Right.
trade shows and all those things. There is going to be a financial commitment. And I never want anyone to feel like, oh my gosh, their retirement's gone, or now I got to go back to corporate. It's like that defeated, like womp womp. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping to make sure that before any of that, we have a conversation and we go through all of it, because I'm going to be the first one to protect your money.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think that that's, it's so sad. I mean, that's why the statistics are so bad for, entrepreneurs is that, and I don't remember, I mean, it's like 50% in the first 5 years or 95% in the first 5 years. Like it
It's like
changes constantly.
85. It's
Yeah,
quite a bit.
it changes all the time. And I think part of it is just chasing the passion and not having, and I've always said this, just because you're a good plumber doesn't mean that you're a great owner of a plumbing company.
That's right.
It's really understanding all the nitty gritty and the client acquisition that's required, on a daily basis. And I think that's super, super important. Is there any other advice that you would give to someone who's thinking about starting a business right now, whether they're leaving corporate or they had one and it failed and now they're going to start it again? Is there anything that you would recommend for people to do?
Absolutely. Persevere. Don't quit after the first fail, because
Mm,
you're going to fail a
mhm,
lot. I want you to feel that you're failing forward.
mhm.
Okay? Because with everything that you do, it's a learning experience, and learn from the people who have been there and have been down that road. Don't ever be so proud that you feel like you have to do it yourself, or feel that you're so proud that um, you make a mistake and that's it. You've got to just say, okay, what can I learn from this experience? Never get down on yourself. Just like I said, fail forward and look to learn from mentors and from coaches that have been there, who can guide you with honest information and not emotional baggage. Because if you make any kind of, I tell you this because I've done it.
Yeah, we and
Make
I've talked about that.
Oh yeah, I've done it over and over. The
Yeah,
money, if I could get back the money, and I said, but I wouldn't be here talking to Jen,
yeah.
because you have to look at everything. And that's how I met Jen, is maybe through something maybe I wouldn't have done, or
Right,
a group I
right.
had come through to
Me
get to
either.
where we met.
Yeah, yeah.
So don't ever feel like
Mhm.
whatever happened that didn't work. There's lessons, there's people, there's things you can take from that to constantly move forward. Like I said, just always take that step back to do the research, so and vet the people that you're surrounding yourself with, so that you can feel comfortable in the decision and know that it was sound. And if it didn't work out, it's okay.
Yeah,
It really is. It
yeah,
really
yeah,
is.
and try to use wisdom going forward. That's my big word this year, is using wisdom in my decision making. Because I'll
That's
be honest, I mean, we've all made decisions going, oh, that was so, I shouldn't have done that. But lesson learned, don't do it again, try not. And then
right.
I go and do it again and go, oh, lesson learned, but it comes at you in a different, format. It looks different when it comes to you, but we've all made those decisions as well. So, all right. So what would you like to leave everybody with today? I mean, obviously well, first of all, what is the best way to contact you?
Uh, You can go to my website, which is
Mhm.
michelelemalo.com. You
Okay.
can also find me on LinkedIn at Michele Malo. It's one L, Michele Malo. And that's the best way for right now. And you can always, like I said, send me a text at 847-951-0099. Either way, I would love to, like I said, I want to be the person to go shopping with you that you can really bounce ideas off of. And you know that I'm going to give you an honest, empathetic answer. Now, I'm a tough love person, but it's always with the empath that's within me and knowing that it's all coming out of this really feeling energetic love and spirituality love of it, because I want you to succeed as quickly as possible so you don't make the pitfalls that I made. I want to get you there a lot faster than I did, and monetize that a lot quicker without spending good money after bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And of course, we'll have all those show notes available for them. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so glad that we finally got through this. Uh,
Absolutely.
but yes, and everybody could tell I have a cold. So, I wasn't going to cancel today. There's no way I was going to cancel, and it's just what it is. So I appreciate it very much. And I look forward to seeing you again. I don't know where I'm going to see you, but I'll see you soon. I'm sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We always cross paths.
Yeah, absolutely. And best wishes for everything that you're doing. And I just want to encourage our listeners, if you're in that transition or you're thinking about transitioning from one job to another, a job to entrepreneurship, or whatever the case may be, reach out to Michelle. She loves talking to you, loves giving you ideas and suggestions. And, she's someone that you want to be connected with. She's a real connector as well. So make sure that you're doing that. There's stories she hasn't even told you about the people she knows that will keep that. We'll hook everybody in, right? We'll
That's
keep that
right.
as an open loop because there's some really powerful people that she is in proximity with. So, Michelle, again, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun, and I just adore you. And thank you so much for kind of pushing through. I know you don't feel so great. I really do appreciate you very much.
Oh, of course, of course. Well, again, everyone, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen in. We hope that you gained some new knowledge and some new wisdom from the time that we had together. And please don't forget to give us a great 5-star rating and write a review. And last but not least, be sure that you are subscribing to our YouTube channel so you can watch us and not only listen to us, but see us as well. And we'll catch you next time on Success to Significance.